So I'm going to talk a little bit about alchemy. Alchemy. I'm an alchemist. I'm a shaman. I use the natural environment, and I use natural energy, and I create with it. That's what I do. I use the energy to create skills that help me to create shapes, and then I look at the shapes that I want to make, and I go out and make them. At the moment, I'm using the energy from the universe to make this shape. I'm using it to put my knowledge, my learning onto a camera. I've had to go and buy this camera. I've had to buy a stand. I've had to set up a little studio so that I can do these podcasts, so that I can get these podcasts out once a week. And basically at the moment what I'm doing is I'm creating a shape with energy. I'm an alchemist. Just making this now is alchemy. So I'm taking something that was invisible. So my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences, they're inside me, they're contained within me. I'm bringing them through this righteous tunnel, and I'm creating a nice shape with it. I'm creating a shape that serves. If I'm doing it properly, I'm creating a shape that serves. I'm creating a shape that goes out into the world. Now this podcast will go online. You're obviously watching it online now. And once it's online, it will sit there for eternity. It's a creation. It's made. It's actually in the world. It becomes part of the Akashic record. And anybody in the world can access this information. They can sit and listen to me, and I can say to them, from my 50 years on this spinning planet, this is what I've learned, and this is congruent with what I've experienced. It's congruent with what I've read, and I actually produce with this knowledge. I actually produce a great life. I actually produce great energy. So being an alchemist can be, you can make a loaf of bread. That's alchemy. That's bringing ingredients together. That's bringing skills together, making a loaf of bread. You can make money. Money is one of the shapes we make with alchemy. It's neither good nor bad. It's no better or worse than a loaf of bread. It's just a shape we make with energy. Everything in the material world comes from that same block of energy. In Islam, they say that everybody is born with access to an infinite amount of energy, but it's in a chaotic form. And what we have to do is we have to build a conduit or a vessel that this energy can come through. It has to manifest through us. We are the alchemists. We're the one that take the energy, bring it through, and create in the world with it. And we can make any shape we want, but we need to learn, obviously, we need to learn the skills. If I want to make a car, physically make a car, I need to learn those skills. If I want to mend a car, I need to learn those skills. If I want to teach martial arts, I need to use my energy to learn those skills. So I can take the energy and create skills, and I can create the skills to whatever level I want, depending on how much time I'm prepared to put in. And I can go out and do anything I want with the energy. I have access to energy, and in this sense, everybody's equal. I know people say the rich and the poor, and there's this divide, but actually everybody's equal. Everybody has access to the same energy. What most people don't realise is that they don't have access to it. Is that they do have access to it. They don't think they've got access to it. They don't realise that they can access this energy because they're broken. They've broken away from their purpose. Maybe that's because of the environment that they're in. Maybe it's because of where they've been brought up. And maybe it's because of their own karma. And karma is just all the stuff that's on the hard drive, all the knowledge and all the information. Maybe the information is just wrong, but that energy is accessible to anybody. My job as a teacher is to try and say to people, this energy is yours, this kingdom is yours. You can access as much of it as you want, but you need to build a vessel. You need to build a conduit, and that conduit needs to be righteous. In other words, it needs to be moral and ethical. Otherwise, we continue creating bad karma for ourselves. So my job is to try and put information out into the world to say to people, look what you can create, look at what you can make. That energy is yours. You can make stuff with that energy. And if there are beliefs between them and their energy that say that it's not possible, or say that they're not worthy, that they're untouchable, that they can't access it, then the job becomes to try and help people to help themselves to dissolve those old beliefs, to challenge those core beliefs, to expand those core beliefs, to build on new beliefs, to build on new, to build new realities from this energy. We can build universes with this energy. We can build prolifically. We can build anything we want with it, and there is an infinite amount of energy. But for us to use this energy, we have to first of all recognize that it's there, that it's ours. And this isn't, I know it sounds metaphysical, but it's actually, like I said, it's as simple as making a loaf of bread. And if you hone the skills, you can become one of the best people in the world at making bread, or making a sculpture. You can create a sculpture from a piece of earth, or from a piece of metal, or from a metal is a piece of the earth anyway. You can create a sculpture that could go out and someone would find it so attractive they might pay you £100,000 or £1 million for it. Some of the paintings people have created with their energy sell for millions of pounds. So that shape goes on to create other shapes. So we can become very skillful at making any shape we want, but we have to learn the skills, we have to develop the skills, and we do have the energy to do that, and we do have the opportunity to do that. And again, I know we don't think we have the opportunity, but we do, because if you can access the internet, and I'm aware there are people in the world at the moment that can't access the internet, but they can find a way to access the internet, or they can find a way to access any information they want if they start to use their energy. So at the moment, most of the people watching this will have access to the internet, will have access to libraries, will have access to bookshops. You can go and sit in a bookshop, go and sit in Waterstones in London, and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and you can read sections of books. You can go and look at the as an appetizer. So we have access to this energy. And we are alchemists. We can create what we want with that energy. Some people have learned to create big shapes with energy, and because they create big shapes with it, people say the rich and the poor. But actually, everybody has access to exactly the same amount of energy, exactly the same amount of natural resources. We just need to change ourselves, our beliefs, our core beliefs, so that we can become a great vessel for that. If part of us says, I'm not worthy of that energy, I'm not worth that energy, I'm too dirty for that energy, I'm not strong enough for that energy is for other people, it's not for me, then we probably will never access it. My job as a teacher is is not to say to people go and access it. My job is to say you do have a choice. And if you think you haven't got a choice, just ask yourself about the nearest library, the internet. And if you haven't got the internet, you still have, if you're listening to this, if you haven't got the internet, you're obviously on the internet watching it, but if this has got to you by some other means, you still have the resources within you to go and find a way of accessing the internet, or creating the internet where you are, or creating, if it comes back even further and you're at a point where you haven't even got water in your village, then we start with the fundamentals. We start with creating the ecology just so that we can live, just basic economics, so that we can make the basic shape of drinking and eating. Again, that is available to everybody. Maybe they don't have the skills, but I think once people start searching for this kind of thing, once they start recognizing that this whole kingdom is theirs, they will start to materialize the skills. They will start to attract the right people that will show them how to do it. But it's always going to come back to you doing it. If I dig your well, if I dig your well once, that's okay. But if I keep digging your well, you're never going to learn to dig your well yourself. If I lift your weights, you won't create your own physique. If I keep giving you money, you won't learn to make the money shape yourself. If I keep feeding you, you won't learn to feed yourself. If I keep fishing for you, you'll just keep eating, but you won't learn to fish for yourself. So the idea is that you learn the skills. Start off with basic skills, just about how to live in the world, just about basic economics. Wherever you are, you have the opportunity and the energy to become whatever you want to become. I remember going to Buckingham Palace and to a City and Guilds thing where my friend was up for an award. My friend Jason was up for an award, and it was really interesting because the room was full of people, but there were people like there were hairdressers, builders, people that ran gyms, right up to lords, ladies, sirs, people who become captains of industry, and the City and Guilds, which is in 80 countries around the world, is there specifically to help people to elevate and become the best they can become. But the people who are there are the ones that still have to do the work. So if you come and do a class, I can't give you martial arts skills or writing skills if you don't do the work. I'm talking to people all the time who want the rewards without the apprenticeship. Who want the medal, but they don't really want to run the race. They want the rewards, but they don't want to do the work. We have to do the work. We have to become great conduits, great vessels, and that's about that idea of Kaizen, that idea of continual learning, but never losing sight of the fact that you have access to infinite energy all the time, all of the time. It's there. That energy is there for you all the time. That information is there for you all the time. You've got to do something with the information, of course. The first lesson, of course, is cognitive understanding. We understand something, we get the information, then it's about using the information. So I can read a library of books on martial arts, but if I don't practice, those skills are not going to become integrated, and if they're not integrated, I don't own those skills. I have an intellectual understanding of those skills, but I don't own those skills. Once I own the skills, those skills work for me forever. I can go anywhere in the world and teach those skills, and those skills will help me to make the money shape, the friendship shape, the amount of things you can do once you develop a skill. And as Musashi said, if you master one thing, you master all things. If I can master one thing, if I'm in a place where there's no water and I dig a well and I create a well, if I can just do that one thing, from that one thing I can master everything. From that, if I can just make the well, then I can start to construct buildings, or help to construct buildings, or learn the skills to construct buildings. If I can do that, I can build infrastructure. If I can build infrastructure, you can start building towns, and schools. You can really build on a basic skill. So just learning the one skill, and that information is there. The information is there. Our job, I had this conversation with my daughter once, and she got really upset. So I said, everybody can do anything, and she said it's not true, and I said it is true, but she didn't believe it. And then we agreed in the end that everybody can do anything they want to do, but most people don't know they can do what they want to do. And when they do know when they do realise they can do it, a lot of them don't want to do the work. They don't want to put the work in because they haven't developed enough discipline. So having this intuition for all this information is no good if we don't have a strong enough will to be able to create in the physical world. I can have an amazing idea for a film, but I've still got to sit down for 4 or 5 weeks and write it. Maybe it'll take me 5 years to make it. It takes a lot of will. But as long as we're doing the stuff we love doing, it doesn't really matter how long it takes, as long as we are creating the world and putting information out there for people and saying, this is how you can create. You can do this too. Do the work, put the time in. It's not hard, for instance, to become a great martial artist. Just treat it like a full-time job and train with escalating instruction. And you will be amazed at how quickly you can get good. Black belts, you're falling over black belts because you get good really quickly because you're doing it as a job. You're not doing it twice a week, you're doing it as a job. You're training 3 times a day. In judo, I had 5 suits. I trained 3 times a day with the judo class and with my own students. You'd be surprised at how much you can get and what you can do if you're prepared to access the energy, accept that you've got access to it. Then once you've got the energy, start to use it, create it. When we create physical things, even if it's just this camera, I've created the shape to be able to go and buy this camera, and this camera, I only have to buy it once and make that shape once. Now this camera will serve me for hundreds of hours of video footage, hundreds of hours, and every one of those, every time I put a video out there, it will have a ripple on the world. It will affect somebody, and everyone can do that. At this moment in time, there's probably about 5 million versions of me in the world telling this story through books, through films, through articles, through lectures, through classes, through, I can't remember how many books there are, but then you think about someone like Paulo Coelho, who's got 100 million versions of him in the world at the moment teaching. He's got 60 million versions of The Alchemist, which is a beautiful book, and about 40 million of his other books. So we can keep reproducing with energy, and then that energy goes out and has its own children and reproduces again. That's why it's really important that we put out a good message. That's why it's really important that we create a good product, because once it's in the world, it's going to go out there and it's going to create its own children. People can't watch this and not act. People will watch this and it will create a response, and with that response they will go and create their own things. I know I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, his autobiography, and I was so inspired by it that I set up a 32 city tour and visited 60 bookshops, 62 bookshops or 64 bookshops around the country. It cost me about £1,000 a week to do the tour, but we sold about 100,000 books, you know, and the book went on to be a film, a play, a short film, a feature in the Times. You know, it went on and replicated itself again and again and again. And that came from just one line in the Arnold Schwarzenegger book. He said, people told me I wouldn't get my book on fitness into the New York Times bestsellers, and I knew I could, so I decided I was going to. And he went out and literally toured it manually and got it into the New York Times bestseller list. So that's what I decided to do myself. I decided to get onto the Times bestseller list by touring the book. I did that. That came from a piece of information from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So when we create these babies grow up and they create their own babies. So we are all alchemists, and we have access to as much raw material as we like. We just need to do the work.